you so much, everyone, for joining me. I'm back with another Can Do Challenge interviews, and I'm here. I'm excited to have Pjero, who's going to pronounce his last name because I may get it wrong sometimes. I know how to pronounce your first name. Yes. I've been connected with Pjero through Edward Zia's network, and I'm grateful for that, forever grateful for the people that I've managed to meet in a few months. So as I've said before, my platform, I've been bringing people that are impacted by sickle cell disease. And I just want people, especially those people that most of them are on my platform, to see that there are people out there changing lives and doing good on this earth. And so I thought Pjero was one of them that ticks that box for me to just encourage others. So for those people that don't know you, Pjero, how can you describe yourself? So please let me know who you are and something about you.
First of all, Agnes, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I just want to thank you for your time and your commitment, and also your audience. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for taking the moments to listen in. That your commitment to listening is valuable. Pjero Mardesic. So Mardesic is my surname. A little bit about me. My father's Croatian, my mother's Filipino. They met back in the 50s, moved to Australia. My father escaped Yugoslavia, moved to Australia. It makes me fruit salad. I'm a mixture. My sister's also a mixture of beauty, love, kindness, peace, and we all have our things. When I was younger, I was classed as dyslexic. I was told that I was ADD. I've got 2 decades of addiction, but I've also got 2 decades of wonderful experience as an exceptional leader across a multitude of industries. And when you add my energetic style, you may think that I'm Italian because of the way that I throw my hands all around the air. I've been called arrogant, I've been called ignorant. But the main thing is I'm a father of 3 beautiful boys, and I'm just passionate about what I do, and that is helping people with addiction. It's one aspect. I help people, I partner with senior executives and CEOs and people of influence to live and lead an exceptional life, personally and professionally. Now, why is that important to me, or how did I get into it, or what do I really brand myself as? And that is, I call myself a Maverick coach. A Maverick coach, a Maverick is someone who is an individual, who's unclassed. I have my own style. I do things my own way through all of my experience. Why do I do this? Because of the people that I see that are hiding behind the facade of fear. It really is fear. Afraid to unearth the truth behind the lies, afraid and to unearth the decisions that they really must make that are truly uncomfortable. And I like to frame it in a mantra: conquer the uncomfortable to unleash your potential. That's what I do.
That's really good. That's really good. Thank you so much for that. You know, something that's stuck out for me, one thing that you are a migrant just like me, and that's just something that I relate to, because a few weeks ago, I had a chance to sit down with Anya, and I just like how, you know, I don't know about you, your parents were migrants. I'm a first generation migrant in this country. So at least you didn't have to face those challenges that they did, but I'm pretty sure they gave you, they've told you those stories, just how it was for them. So that just for me also, just part of me just feels that, you know, if you're a migrant in this country, you can still make it. And that we are seeing that. But one thing that also stuck out for me, that you say that you are dyslexic. So just tell me exactly what that is for those people that don't know, and how did you overcome that?
So dyslexia takes many forms. If it's something that you can understand, you know how to work with it rather than against it. In other words, when I read, the letters for me on the page jumble. So the letters and the numbers. So I might read a 2 as a 5. I might read a 4 as a H. I might read where as in how instead of where. And then sometimes I'll write there as in over there. I'll write it as in their home. So the difference, it's just the way the letters jumble. Now, that was how it was explained to me when I was 14. Did I take any notice? No. I got to wear special glasses like Elton John and Britney Spears and Michael Jackson, like with the colored lenses. I actually thought I was a superstar. I thought this is great. Like I got to stand out from the crowd. And that was part of my, I guess you could say, growing up, because I learned how to hide behind that facade. And I thought that dyslexia was a problem that I needed to mask.
But then, you know, some of the kids actually are challenged with this at school, and sometimes it's not picked up. And you see that some of the kids who actually just maybe leave school because it's so hard for them. Was this picked up at school for you?
Yes.
Or did your parents actually just encourage? And is it still like ongoing, or have you worked on it to sort of have something to work with?
Okay, so year four, it was picked up in year 4. I used to go to a speech therapist to learn how to pronounce my words properly. Now, has this been part of my journey? Yes, because now I believe that I'm a public speaker. I believe that I can articulate my words correctly. I believe that I can explain my story well. So story showing as well as storytelling. Why this is so important for me and why do I want to make sure that this is not ongoing is because I take the time to learn what dyslexia is helping me with. So I get to slow down. I get to, read twice, speak once. When I'm taking notes, I get to write. I get to slow down. I get to clearly process the notes. Now, part of dyslexia that I was explained to was about concentration. So the white background, so the white paper with the black writing, the white paper would be too bright and it stood out above the black writing. So I got to wear the colored lenses. Now, why am I telling you this? The more that I read now, the more that I slow my reading down and I speak out loud, I get to hear the story better. And when I was a child, when it got picked up and I went to speech therapy, is because I didn't know how to say words. Therefore, I didn't want to speak in class. I wanted to tell jokes. So what I did was I became the class clown because I was hiding. So I was hiding that it was a problem because I didn't want to read out loud because I would make so many mistakes. But then I would become an attention seeker. So I started telling jokes and I started becoming the class clown. And that's when my teachers started to pick it up because they mentioned that he doesn't like reading in front of the class. And yeah, that's how it got picked up. And that's how I use it now to my advantage, as I've learned to slow down when I speak and I can really put the words together properly and it comes across more empowering.
Wow, that's just so powerful. I really hope somebody who's experienced that or experiencing that right now can see this, because I've been following your journey and you're just so inspiring. And, and you're so good on Clubhouse, which
thank you.
You're really using, you're killing that platform. I've been on a few times, so you're so good with what you do. But also something that stood out for me, tell me briefly about your addiction and how you've turned that around to help other people.
Okay, so this is one aspect that I conquered and championed. And that was when I was 10, I was introduced to adult movies, and not purposefully. I walked past and my father was watching in his downtime. And I later on in life realized that was his way of relaxing. I didn't understand it at the time when I was 10. But the correlation between me wanting to watch more and understand it was when I was a child, I was called naughty. I was just a naughty boy, right? I used to always muck around and do silly things, like I was a child. But because I was a boy, Yeah,
My nephew.
I was a normal boy. And what happened with that is I used to get called naughty, like the word naughty. And I was just like, and it just always rings a bell. So then when this incident happened and I walked past the lounge room, and the adult movie was on, my father's words, he said, "Don't worry about this, son. These are just naughty adult movies." So the first thing that I did with that, and anyone who's got an understanding of anchors and attachments in the brain and thought pattern, which is one of my areas of expertise, is that we attach and we anchor words to meanings, to emotions. And in that moment, I realized that my father would spend more time watching that than he would spending time with me. And I made a story, I created a narrative. It became my paradigm that I was no longer good enough to spend time with. So then I said, if I'm naughty and those movies are naughty, well, then we can spend time together because we're both naughty. And then by the age of 14, it became an addiction. And then I moved all the way through till I was 32. And how I really conquered that was understanding that I created a defense mechanism over here, which was to hide, and a facade. I like to call it an unhealthy coping mechanism, which was a few of them is the soul wounds of rejection and abandonment. And then there was the defense mechanism of denial and what's it called? Sublimation. So the defense mechanism of sublimation, according to Sigmund Freud, is that I take what's not sociably acceptable over here and I go and do something with it that's sociably accepted over here. It's called sublimation, defense mechanism of sublimation. Now, what I did over here was I wanted to make sure that in everybody else's eyes, I was perfect. So I created this exceptionality over here in my work, in my sport, in my schooling, in my study. Like then I really, especially my work, from the ages of like 14 all the way through to 32, I worked from the age of 14 and 9 months. I started working at McDonald's, and then I got another job at a telecom after my school certificate. So then what I did was I did this thing called sexual transmutation, which you would understand if you've read the book Think and Grow Rich, chapter 11. It's where you get the sexual desire and you transmute it into energy that you can use elsewhere. So the idea of sublimation, something that's not sociably accepted over here that I hid behind, I used it as an escape from the world. And over here, I was like the perfect thing. I tried to make sure that everybody liked me. So how I then harnessed that to now educate others is the addiction was not the movies. The addiction was the self-sabotaging talk that I was using in my mind, thinking that I had to do that to hide this because I thought this was so taboo. So the sabotaging self-talk is the addiction, not the actual output of what I was watching, what I was doing. And this goes for society. So gambling, sex, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. It's not, the output. Even people are addicted to work. Even people are addicted to coffee, addicted to chocolate, addicted to spending time with social people. The addiction, that's not the addiction. The addiction is the self-talk, is the continuous sabotaging cycle of language that we use towards ourselves.
That's really powerful. I'm just thinking like there's so many things. I'm addicted to social media, maybe. There are so many things. So when did you actually now realize that, what, I have overcome this and now I need to use these tools to help others? And how did you start that? How did you start that journey? Because you say that you worked from the age of almost 15 years and all this time. When did you become this public figure to touch people's lives and to change your experience? To help people with that, this is what I've gone through, you can also do it.
What I started to realize was that the language itself. So when I started to teach him to slow down, to think, to breathe, Everything is figure outable. Marie Forleo, great book. Everything is figure outable. And when I started to implement what I was learning, what I went through, which is like, well, this is your addictive pattern over here. It's the self-talk that you think you can't do it, or it's it may be impossible, or that's going to be hard. It's like, change the language, change the environment, and the outcome changes. If we continue to do the same thing we've always done, we're going to get the same thing we always get. So we've got to be willing to do something different. So that then brings down the willingness to want to change, because there's a difference between wanting it and committed. So when I brought that to his attention and I said, if you stay the same, what you're actually doing is you're not aware of what it's costing you to stay that way. So you've got to be willing. And I showed him the road of, what if we did this? This is where you want to be. This is where you are. How are you going to get there? I'm going to help you get there. And when he realized that, that's when things started to shift. Action, taking responsibility of his language, no more blame. It really opened up his thought pattern.
That's just so powerful. And, I like that you do work with men as well, because one thing I've seen, and I think the last time we discussed mental health issues with men, which I'll touch because that's something that you're passionate about as well, we find that most men, it's very difficult for them to seek help, but the fact that you can turn around someone's life using the tools that you've gone through yourself is just so powerful. So talking about mental health, that's something that's really dear to my heart as well. For me, I feel everything that you go through in life, the mental mind, the mindset is the most important thing. But that's also something that you do. You do help people that have issues with mental health. And Can you tell me a little bit about that and how did that start?
Okay. When I started to realize a deeper level of my father passed away in December 2020. And when he was getting older, I started to see that he was suffering from age-old depression. And I wanted to understand more about it. And then also a family member of mine, very, very close family member, started suffering from postnatal depression. And I wanted to understand it. So I started to study depression. I started to study counseling. I started to study therapy, cognitive behavior. I just started to study everything I could get my hands on, reading books week after week, day after day, understanding this. I started doing certificates. I got certificates. I started to do a diploma in modern applied psychology, and I've got my diploma now. What I started to really understand was the way we talk to ourselves is what defines you, not the label. What I also started to realize is that we're not willing to become conscious and aware of what it's costing us, because that's painful. And this is a really simple subject. Everyone that's listened to Tony Robbins will understand that we run from pain and we run towards pleasure. But the pain is because of the meaning we've attached to it. So when you attach a meaning to this, and this means something to me, that I might be looked at in this way, then it creates pain. So the person doesn't want to do it. They'll run towards pleasure, which is not to talk about it. So mental health, when you're talking about mental health, no one wants to talk about it. They'll say the words mental health, mental well-being, but what's more discerning to me is that there are three things that you must conquer in order to understand leadership, relationships, and even results. And that is alignment. You must be aligned to your greatest values. And it's horrendous how many people are out of alignment purely for themselves, let alone their relationship, their work. The second thing is commitment. There is a big difference between walking the walk and walking the talk. Because if you want it, you want it. But if you're committed, you're willing to fail to get it. And the third thing is mindset mastery. I mean, there is no way that you can judge somebody else without judging yourself first. And if society as a whole knew that, society would change instantly, but individuals are not willing to judge themselves because it's too painful. And the minority that have gone through my program, like there's already hundreds that have gone through my program one-on-one. It's referral basis only. It's high caliber people that are ready. They've got to be ready. They have to be ready to face the mirror, to face what they're running from, which is painful. But I make what's not okay to talk about, I make it okay. I stand by their side. I hold space for them. I listen. And then I educate. That's the greatest thing about having some of the tools and some of the modalities that I've studied over my last 4 or 5 years. And that is, I use those skills in counseling, in talking therapy, in timeline therapy, in CBT, DBT, like all of these modalities. I could list the list, but it's irrelevant. It's how much I care and I'm willing to help them push through their own pain.
And that's just so powerful, because there are so many people out there who have this visage, you know, like,
yes,
like what you spoke about when you are in school, you are trying to shield something that was happening, and what did you turn up to be? Wanted to be that clown, and you know, that's why the teachers and trained, they could see that. But there are so many adults there also in life that have got this popular visage on social media or even in the workplace, but they're suffering inside. And it's very difficult for them to come out to seek help. So I thank you for that, for the millions that, you know, do have that problem, and hopefully one day whoever is listening can, you know, seek help. It's really good to talk about it. And if not, somebody you know, even just if you pick up the phone, there's so many you know, numbers, Beyond Blue, lifelines and all that, where you can go if you have any mental health problems. But also, one of the things that I read about you, you became one of the youngest under 40 to be one of the powerful men, if I can call it that way. How were you nominated, and how was this just, how is the feeling to see what you've gone through to be recognized?
I'm very grateful. At first, I couldn't believe it, because obviously what I do is I do from the heart. So I'm not thinking with my head that I want recognition. I want results. I want to see people changing themselves. I want them to realize what they could potentially be. So the Top 40 Under 40 magazine was a blowout, because someone from the magazine reached out and said, Pjero, you know, you've been nominated by Anonymous, and you've, you know, we see what you're doing, and this needs to be spread around the world. And do you mind if I ask your age and this? And then, yeah, when they knew that I was under 40, they said, well, you've counted, and, you know, would you like to have your article published? And I said, of course. So, yeah.
Oh, congratulations. You do deserve it. Totally. Like much. You are changing lives. You are changing lives. So tell me more. I'm intrigued. I want to know more about the sessions that you do on Clubhouse, and how's. I've attended a few. I must admit, I'm not very good. It's not that I'm not good. I don't know. I just don't have time. I have it on my phone, and it's a very, very powerful tool. Like, you are in this room with these popular names. I'm like feeling it on Clubhouse.
Yeah. Okay. So the sessions that I do on Clubhouse, I do a few. One of them is live coaching. So the most powerful thing about live coaching is that if the person's willing to talk about it, it becomes so much more powerful, because they're already being vulnerable. So they're already stepping over and above, you know, the ego. They're talking in front of sometimes 50, 60 people, and they're being honest about what their fears are in that moment. Now, why I believe these sessions are so powerful, like live coaching, and obviously if you've seen anything like Abraham Hicks, or if you've seen any live events like Tony Robbins, like they do live audience coaching on the spot, and someone becomes sitting in the hot seat. These sessions are so empowering to the individual, because they're then going to get the support of all the other people in the room. When someone is vulnerable, there's another level of space that we create in ourselves to then grow. Like, I like to call it, one of my business clients, he says, we create a vacuum. And I said, talk to me about the vacuum. Let's create a vacuum today. And what it means is that when you create a space of vulnerability, or, you know, you take an opportunistic phone call out of nowhere, you're just like, I don't know this number, I'm going to take the number. And because you answered, the vacuum was created, and this person is now can help you. You can help the person, right? So the coaching sessions, the live coaching sessions on Clubhouse is like, these people don't understand yet that when they're being vulnerable, they're creating a space to grow. And then when I tell them that, it's like, the more vulnerable you are in this moment about why you don't want to do this, or you don't want to take this path, right? The more vulnerable you are, the more willing you're going to evolve into, because it's going to create space for you to grow, because you're letting go of what's holding you back. So these rooms are extremely powerful. They're very life-changing for some people, and I've met some extraordinary people. I'm so thankful for, you know, the designers of Clubhouse, because the proximity that you can get in Clubhouse, 56 people at a time in a live moment, it's phenomenal. It really is an extraordinary app, a really extraordinary move in technology of connection around the world.
So how often do you have those sessions, the live sessions?
So I've been running those live. So during COVID, I was running the live sessions once a week. And now, since COVID's been back and I've been back in society doing events and face-to-face meetings, I haven't been on there for about maybe 2 months. So I'm due to get back on.
Well, I'm looking at time. This is a Sunday morning, and again, I'm so grateful that you can give me this Sunday morning. Thank you so much.
I'm grateful for you, because you're tired. I know that you're going to have a sleep after this, but I'm so grateful for you. Thank you very much.
No. This was really important. So where to from here? Like, you have all these things going on at the moment. Where do you see your life in the next 5 years? What are your plans? And just continue, you know, to touch lives.
I can truly see myself on stages at big events. I can see myself doing live coaching audiences. I think that that's really empowering for individuals. But I can also see myself creating a platform where I've already got one online program. So I've already got one program that's online. I can see myself creating so much more online, you know, individual courses that like explain this, or when this is happening, this is going on in here. You know, those real psychological tools that you can only really achieve when you're sitting with someone in a psychology chair. But the idea of explaining it in such a modern, applied psychological way, even if it's just one directional through a course, it'll help the individual go, oh my God, what a light bulb moment. I've realized what I've been doing the whole time. So yeah, I see myself with more online programs. I see myself doing live coaching events. I see myself, I actually see myself with like a new house, traveling a lot more, especially to, like, I love America, I love Malaysia. I'm looking forward to get back to Japan. Like, there's so many places that I want to go and visit. I see, you know, my 3 boys grown up. I see, you know, beautiful times with my wife. Like, I see all that in 5 years.
And you will. I just love how positive you are. You will. Well, we're finishing off now. I just like my guests to just give that word of encouragement to anyone who's struggling, especially with the depression, any mental health issues, dyslexic, anything in life, and they think that there's no way through, you know, there's no breakthrough. What message do you have for them?
Find someone with a profession that you can talk to and ask for help. Ask for help. As hard as you may think it is. If I was to get 10 phone calls a day of someone asking for help, I would just book in session after session after session. I would find the time for just one conversation with someone so that they can understand that their vulnerability for asking for help created the vacuum of them growing. And the more that they resist, the more that the person resists not asking, they're actually denying that person the opportunity to help them or not, by not asking.
Does take that first step, right? It does take that first to accept that I do need help. Because no matter how somebody pushes you, if you're not ready, it can't work. You have to take the first step. But in saying that, people's lives are different. Some will take the first step after a year or so. Some will take the first step, for me, like 5 years, to actually accept that my daughter was living with a chronic illness and to do something about it. But yes, please ask. And there's so many help out there. So many people like Pjero. So thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. Yeah. And I'll end there. Just thank you so much for encouraging everyone. And whoever wants to connect with Pjero, you can find him on all social media platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Clubhouse. Are you the same name on Clubhouse?
Instagram, anything, yeah. Find me on Clubhouse and I'll start running some rooms,
Yeah, so you can connect with him. And so thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time.